Morning everyone, I am Xavier, working as an English teacher in Bethel Mission School, Godda, and I'm really happy this morning to be with you to discuss a poem which goes by the name Fire and Ice. The name of the poet is Robert Frost. You know, in English literature, Robert Frost occupies a very important place because his poems have a lot of meaning. They are very deep. So we have to understand the poem very carefully. We have to read the poem carefully and only then we'll be able to get into the meaning of that. Now you see, he has written several other poems like Stopping by Woods on a Snowy Evening, Mending Wall, The Road Not Taken. Of course, this poem was there in class 9. All of you must have studied this. Robert Frost was born in America. He's a US poet. And in this particular poem, he's discussing a very important issue. As you see, the title goes Fire and Ice. Now, if I ask you a question as to how this world would end, that would be a very dreadful one, a very dangerous question. And we are living in such a time where everyone is asking, has the world come to an end? Is it going to be the end? Is it going to be the end point? Because all of us know that we are going through an epidemic, a dreadful epidemic, the coronavirus. So this has made people to ask whether the world is going to end or not. Well, science gives its own reasons. It has its own explanation as far as how the world would end. So scientists say the world may end in global warming. The sea level is rising, the polar regions, the ice caps are melting, there might be earthquakes, there might be volcanic eruptions and flood. So that is the explanation which science offers us. So science has its own logic. Religion, be it the Bible or the Quran or the Gita, they have their own explanations. If you're good, definitely, even if the world ends, you will be safe because God will take care of you. But if you're bad, of course you'll have to pay for your actions. So, good people are safe and bad people are not. That is what the explanation which is given by religion. So, the religion is based on morality. Then, literature also has its own explanation. The literature also gives an explanation as to how the world will end. Now, Robert Frost had a friend, and his friend was a scientist. And one day both of them were sitting and there was a discussion. The discussion was about how the world would end. And the friend said, you see, the world is going to end by fire, which means war, because war creates fire. Then Robert Frost thought about the point, and the result was the poem, Fire and Ice. Now everybody knows fire is hot, ice is cold, but that exactly is not the meaning here. This has a symbolic meaning. It has a deeper meaning. The fire that the poet is talking about here is not the fire that we see around, the fire that destroys things. And the ice that he is talking about is not the ice that we see. It is something else. Let's go into that. Now you see, what the poet means by fire here is nothing but desire and passion and some strong feelings. For example, every king in the world, every leader in the world was proud of his country. Let's take Hitler, for example. Hitler had a desire to rule the world. Alexander the Great, when you take the life of this great man, he had a desire. He wanted the whole world to be under his control. So that was a fire. Desire, a passion, a strong feeling, a strong urge, greed. That comes under the fire. So if there is a desire, if there is the fire of desire that is burning in you, that will create destruction. So that is the destruction that he means by fire here. So greed is the root cause of all evil. All the religious books, they tell us This is the point they are driving at. So, the fire of greed, the fire of desire, the fire of passion is what is meant by the word fire here. Lust. So, this creates destruction. The fire that is burning, the fire of desire that is burning in every human being will cause a desire, will cause destruction. And what is ice? What does he mean by ice? Ice doesn't mean the literal ice. We need not go by the literal meaning. It means hatred. In every human heart, there is hatred. In every human heart, there is coldness. What is the meaning of coldness? It is not the literal meaning that we have to go into. You cannot take it. You cannot take the word by face value. It is not cold, which is opposite of hot. But it is the coldness which speaks about insensitivity and indifference. If somebody is suffering and you are not bothered about the suffering, you don't care for that particular person, you are insensitive. You are indifferent to his suffering. You are indifferent to his hardships. In that condition, there is a coldness which comes in you. So this is the coldness that he's talking about, and this coldness refers to ice. So, as you see here, fire is symbolized, or desire and passion is symbolized by fire, and indifference, hatred, coldness, lust, which means a kind of greed, that is symbolized by ice. So this poem is a symbolic poem. The poet uses two things, the fire and ice, to talk about how the world will end. So when we go by the first line, some say the world will end in fire, some say in ice. So the poet says, I feel some people say that this world would end in fire. That is in passion, in desire. And some people say, some say in ice. Some people say, no, the world will end in water. The polar regions, the polar ice caps, they'll start melting. There will be flood. The sea level will go up. There will be global warming and the world will be submerged. It will go down into water. So ice will be the cause of the destruction. So the poet says, some people say that the world will end in fire. The destruction of world would be caused by fire. And some other people say the destruction would be caused by ice, that is water. But whatever the cause may be, the end result is the same. So what does he mean by the end result? Whether it is ice or whether it is fire, the world will have to end. It is a Hobson's choice. What is the meaning of Hobson's choice? You have two options, but you have to choose both. You cannot choose either one. There are two options, and both the options give you the same result, and you have to choose both the options. That is known by Hobson's choice. Now, from what I have tasted of desire, I hold with those who favor fire. So in the first stanza, the last line of the first stanza says that the poet favors fire. He says, I agree with those who say that the world will end in fire. From what I've tasted of desire, the word desire, if you look at the textbook, you'll find the word desire. What does it mean by desire? I have seen people who have a lot of desire in them to possess the other people's property, to possess the other people's land. You see, I can give you a lot of examples to prove this. Take all the wars. The Americans, they attacked Iraq. There was a war. The Americans, they attacked the people of Vietnam. It resulted in many deaths. World War I, World War II. And there were so many wars, hundreds and hundreds and thousands of wars. What was the root cause of all these wars? It was desire. Desire to possess somebody's land. So if you have desire to occupy somebody else's country, somebody else's land, you will have hatred for that particular place. for that country, for that people. Therefore, you try to destroy that world. So in the first stanza, the poet says, I hold with those who favor fire. I agree with the people who say that the world will end in fire. This is what his first opinion is. Now coming back to the second stanza. But if it had to perish twice, what is the meaning of perish? It means die. So the poet in the second stanza says, if the world is going to end twice, if the world will end twice, then obviously, I think I know enough of hate to say that for destruction, ice is also great. So the poet says, if somebody says that the world is going to end in water or by ice, if it is going to end by ice, I know there is so much of hatred in people. Take the situation of today's world. There are so many people dying out of a virus, a viral infection, corona. Go and analyze the cause of this. What is the cause of this destruction, large-scale destruction? What is the cause of the consequence of what we are reaping today? The number of deaths that have gone up, the countries that are suffering from the viral infection. What is the cause? Who is behind it? You try to find out the answer and you will get. Which are the countries which are responsible for this? What is their role? So the poet says, if somebody says that the world will end in ice, I can surely say there is enough of hatred. There is enough of hatred in every man's heart that this world will be over within no time. That hatred is enough to finish this world. So this is a very important point. I think I know enough of hate. I know people are full of hate in their hearts. The countries, the leaders, they have enough of hatred in their hearts towards the other countries. If one nation is progressing, the other nation cannot tolerate that. If one nation is going ahead, making an economic progress, a scientific progress, the other nation is not able to tolerate that. There is hatred. So what is the result? One country trying to destroy the other country. So the poet says it is the hatred. So the hatred and the desire that is located, that is placed in our hearts is more dangerous than any weapon of fire or any other weapon of destruction. So hatred can destroy you. That is what the poet says. He is also great and would suffice. The word suffice means it is enough. So you don't have to have any weapon of destruction to destroy somebody. If you have hatred and if you have some desire in you, that itself is enough to put a person's life to an end or to destroy this world. So Robert Frost, through a very, very small poem, has given us a very, very important point to think, to reflect. Now, coming to the literary devices. Every poet will have some literary device. And in this particular poem, we have lots of literary devices. For example, alliteration. What do you mean by alliteration? When you have two words starting with the consonant sound. Consonant sound. What do you mean by consonant? Leaving the 5 vowels, A, E, I, O, U. The rest of the letters are known as consonants. And you look at this line. I hold with those who favor fire. The last line of the first stanza, I hold with those who favor fire. The letter F is repeated. Favor, it starts with letter F. Fire, it starts with letter F. So, these two letters, they give you a consonant sound and therefore, this particular device is known as alliteration. And what is enjambment? When you discuss a poem, you must be familiar with this literary device also. What is enjambment? You see, when there is no full stop in a line, and the line continues till the end without a break, that is known as enjambment. For example, take the last 3 lines of the second stanza to say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. Did you notice those 3 lines? if you have the textbooks, we can go over that. The last 3 lines of the second stanza. To say that for destruction, ice is also great and would suffice. There isn't any full stop, no comma. So, the first line continues with the second and the second continues with the third. So, one line goes on into another, and that particular literary device is known as an enjambment. One line continuously coming without any full stop or punctuation marks. In the same manner, you have many other examples for enjambment. Symbolism. This is another important literary device used in this poem. What is symbolism? The poet uses certain objects as symbols to give us an idea. And what are the 2 symbols used here? One is fire and the other one is ice. Fire does not literally mean fire, but it means desire and passion. It stands for these 2 vices. Vices means the word vice means a very bad quality. So, symbolism is being used here. One is fire and the other one is ice. What do you mean by ice here? What does ice stand for? Ice stands for hatred, lust and coldness. So, the poet is trying to give us some ideas by using some words as symbols. And the 2 symbols used here are fire and ice. So, symbolism is another literary device. And then you have personification. What is personification? When the poet tries to give life to a lifeless object, when an inanimate object is described as an animate object, when a thing which does not have life is projected as something which has life, that is known as personification. In Hindi we call it as Manavikaran. So here you have the personification. Fire destroys, it has life to destroy the people, the property. Ice, though it is a kind of element or a kind of object which can destroy people, it gets the quality of life. So ice, which is a non-living thing, fire, which is a non-living thing, both of them are compared to living things. Therefore, this is personification. Another one is anaphora. What do you mean by anaphora? If one sentence is repeated twice continuously in a poem, that particular device is known as anaphora. And what is the anaphora that you find here? You see, some say the world will end. Look at the first line of the poem. Some say the world will end. Some say. And look at the second line. Some say in ice. So the words some say are repeated. So when the same words are repeated continuously, that particular literary device is known as anaphora. And the last would be assonance. What do you mean by assonance? Assonance is the repetition of sounds coming together. When one sound is repeated twice in a line, for example, who favor fire. The word F, the sound of letter F is being repeated, so that particular literary device is known as assonance. So dear students, to wind up the entire poem, let's remember that Frost is using fire and ice as 2 symbolic words. Fire represents desire and passion, and ice represents hatred, lust and coldness. And if the world is going to end, it would end either by the fire or the desire or the hatred, which is represented by ice. So, the hatred and the coldness and the insensitivity and the indifference that is within us is more dangerous than any other weapon, be it a military tank, be it a gun, be it a bomb, whatever it is. So, I give you a follow-up question. There might be a value-based question related to this poem. What would be the value-based question? What do you think of the end of the world? Or how do you think this world will end? What are your opinions? Do you think it would end by fire? Do you think it would end by water? Do you think it would end by any natural disaster? Find out the answers. Another work that you can do during this holiday time is go over all the wars, the Second World War. Try to find out the reasons why the Second World War was fought. Find out the reasons why the Americans attacked Iraq, the war. What was the cause? Find out why the Americans attacked Vietnam and what was the result of these wars and what message do we get from all these wars. If you try to kind of reflect over these points, I think you will understand this poem in a better way. And this poem, I tell you, is very much related to the present situation. The loss of lives and the destruction that the world that is facing today is all because of this fire and ice. So just go over these points. I think you will have a better understanding. And until we meet in the next class, goodbye.